Hello friends, I am Chevee. Welcome to my shed. How are you today? How's life in your world? How's things where you are? I hope it's fantastic and wonderful. Everything here is good. And I wanted to ask a simple question. Are you an archivist? And I guess what I mean by that is, do you save past you in any way, shape, or form? As I was showing you the train game yesterday and the board and how it just has all of these pieces taped onto it, it made me think, Em and I played my Viking game. I think it was my Viking game. And she said she really liked it, and I said I was going to work on it. And her thoughts were, you should just kind of like save this version and then make a new version. And that way, if you want to kind of look back, you can. And I looked at her and said, I do that. Like, I have all the versions, right? In some way, shape, or form, I have all the versions. And sometimes when creating a game like that, that particular game has, a bunch of different cards. Some of those cards I've edited 4 or 5 or 6 times, and they'll just be stuffed in a sleeve. There's 6 pieces of paper in there because I've edited the card a bunch of different times. And I don't normally let that kind of stuff go. I just kind of keep it, and it kind of becomes this archive of my creative process. And today, my laptop was starting to get full, and so I have a 6 or 8 terabyte backup drive that I put all of my footage on. And I moved over a couple of folders, like a couple hundred gigs worth of stuff. maybe 200 gigs worth of stuff. And I'm looking at this hard drive. That hard drive has every episode of this show on it. It has the raw out of the camera footage from every episode of this show. It doesn't have the edited version, or maybe it does. I don't think it does. I think it just has the raw footage. And I have an archive of all of that. Why? Well, I honestly don't know. Because I don't edit this show. I mean, in the history, in 1,300 episodes, I have maybe cut something that I have said a couple of, less than a half dozen times. Probably 3 times. Because I've gone off on a tangent too far, and I've said something that I would regret saying, in person to somebody. But I don't edit. So there's really not anything extra that I'm archiving. The footage is already archived. It's on YouTube. It's what you're watching right now. And that's it. There aren't cuts. There's no jump cuts. There's no, anything. Maybe at the end of the videos, in the early years, I might ramble about something that, call myself an idiot, because I do that a lot at the end of a video. But for the most part, what's on YouTube is exactly what I shot for that day. But I keep that. I have that footage archived. Will anybody care? No. But I guess part of it is, well, what if YouTube goes away? Then I'm going to lose this whole project, right? This 6, 8, 10-year endeavor of my life will be gone, and nobody will ever have access to it. And I don't have some sort of megalomania ego that says that somebody's going to want to have access to it in 10 years. But what if somebody does want to have access to it in 10 years? What if my retirement party, somebody wants to cut clips together from the show or something? I have it. So, back to the beginning of this show. Are you an archivist? Do you archive stuff like that? I probably archive too much. I'm not going to say I'm a hoarder. I'm not a hoarder. But I have snippets of my life that I have a hard time letting go of, right? And one of those things has come back to haunt me very recently. I'm working on a project with a friend who reappeared into my life after 20 years of silence. And it has to do with a project that, we worked on together 20-something years ago. And I had a bunch of that project left over. And just within the last couple of years cleaning the basement out, I tossed it all. Because I said, I don't need this. This is a chapter of my life that's closed. And so I let it go. And then suddenly, after 20 years of no contact, suddenly this person's back in my life and we have, projects to work on together, and I don't have those archives. I let those archives go. And that's one of those situations where I go, damn, I really wish I had saved it, right? Like, I wish I had listened to myself and saved things. But I don't necessarily, I don't have everything dated and recorded in a logbook or anything like that. I just specifically mean iterative things that I iterate on, stories, games. I have, when I make a major edit to a board game, I start a whole new rules document, and I have all of the versions of rules. When I make a large change to the components, I copy the files and make a new set of files, and so I have those versions. And if it's a physical thing, I will keep at least some of it, right? Like, I will keep pieces that I will keep, say, 10%, a few cards just to remember what it looked like, or remember how. And lately, I mean, we all have this archivist in our pocket. I take pictures of everything. I try to take pictures of everything that I do. And, I have pictures of the basement, and it's not necessarily so that I know what the basement looked like. It's so that I know what day I did whatever project, right? I can look at my phone and go, when did I do the wiring? Oh, it was on this day, because I have it. I have a picture of it. So, it's definitely not a bad thing to be an archivist, I don't think. But it can go a little too far. And at what point is archiving things just ego? I mean, I have the last 6 years of my life archived right here on YouTube. Is that ego? Maybe. Probably. I mean, I think ego plays a big part of it. I think that ego is what won't let me stop, right? My ego is the thing telling me I need to do this. Regardless of how many people watch it, my ego says, this is a thing that you do and you're not going to stop it, right? Maybe that's stubbornness instead of ego. I don't know. Anyway, I will leave the question at simply, are you an archivist? And how much of your life have you archived? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for being here as always. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing, being amazing friends and wonderful people. I really appreciate you. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Today's word you should know to sound smart is hapless. It's an adjective meaning unlucky and unfortunate. Exile is the noble and dignified term, while a refugee is more hapless. Mary McCarthy, an American author. Hapless. Hapless. I have lived a fairly hapless life. But recently, the past few years have been really amazing.